submission. And the worst part, most men don't even know they're trapped in it. But today, we're exposing the hidden patterns behind this cycle. We're going to talk about how coercion works, how it destroys your agency, and how you can break free to reclaim your God given purpose, identity, and leadership. Because here's the thing, transformation begins with mind renewal. And when your mind is renewed, you don't just break free, you lead others to freedom as well. By the end of this episode, you'll learn how to recognize the tactics that keep you stuck. You'll discover what the Bible says about your identity and authority as a man. And you'll walk away with practical tools to shift your mindset and break the cycle for good. But let me warn you, this conversation will challenge you. It will force you to confront the areas of your life where you've settled for less. Are you ready for that kind of transformation? If so, then let's dive in. Gad, I want to ask you a question as we get started. I'm just curious because you and I have both been married. Um, and I am just curious as I ask this question. I'm sincerely asking this from a place of curiosity. Have you ever in your relationship said yes to something that you wanted to say no to, but you actually said yes because you knew that if you said no, there would be some issues
Yes.
of wait a minute.
Oh,
Wait a
my
minute.
bad. I was supposed to wait for you to finish. My bad. My bad.
You know, so thank you for that very quick response. Um, I so I get in several conversations, and I had a conversation not too long ago, and of course, it was about understanding the difference between a person wanting to do something and the other person doing it just because the other person wants to do it, even though they don't want to do it. And I'm like, why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you do a thing knowing you don't want to do it just because the other person want to do it? And they say, well, that's you do it. You did that to make the person happy. I'm like, well, what does that do to you in the long term? You know what I'm saying? So just to kind of put this whole conversation into context, that's kind of like what we're talking about today. And I think some of these things, like, you know, it's a it is a thing that you do to such a degree that you do it so often that it gets to the point that you want to do it. I give you a perfect example of that, like the honey-do list. Every man knows what a honey-do list is. Now, that being said, do you really want to do the honey-do list? Probably not. Maybe. It depends on where that person is. But at the end of the day, I think they do it just for the sake of keeping the peace in the home. I think I've rambled long enough. I want to pause right there and get your insight on that as well.
No, this is good because as you're talking and I'm reading, right? Because I don't just read before. I try to read while we're going through while the discussion is living, right? Um, but as I'm reading and as I'm listening to you, like my question comes into my head, like maybe because we're men, it sounds like a man issue, right? And as I'm trying to understand the coercive cycle of interaction better, I'm realizing it's a people thing, but in the space of relationship, sometimes especially right here, like as men, we do a lot of things that we don't want. We even lie because we don't want to we don't want to argue. You know what I mean? But how much of it is because we set the tone when we come in, we court that way. We doing things that she. I think sometimes we create the monster that we complain about, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and what do I mean by that for somebody that's listening in? Yes, I can say, my wife expects me to do all these things, and here I am, I do it. My dumb behind do it. Like, why does she think I'm just gonna do everything? Why is she thinking I'm just here to do? Because you led in to the relationship with do. Just like the dudes that lead into relationship with money, their relationships end mostly why? Because of money issues. Well, you led in with this irresponsible money habit, which is I'm gonna spend, do you know? So
Yeah.
I think we tend to create a standard, and sometimes her expectations stay there.
Sure.
Now I know that that's not the totality of the conversation, but I wanted to highlight that uh, ahead of time as we delve into this a little more.
So no, you're good because I don't disagree with anything that you said. I agree 100%. And to add to that, if you will, that standard was taught or learned someplace. I don't think any young man, when he first start dating, he goes into that dating circle, cycle, whatever that looks like, with a perfected process, a perfected standard that he is mimicking something. He is either mimicking something or he learned that from somebody or whatever that looks like. And so it becomes something that I believe that gets passed down from generation to generation to generation based upon the time that we're in. It really is the same thing. It just presents itself using a different medium. So back in the day, when we were young, we used to like, you know, when we was young kids, do you like me? Check yes, check for yes or check no, or then check maybe. We got to put the maybe in there, right? Because maybe ain't no, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So got to put the maybe in there. And then that grew to you becoming older and you're probably playing some type of sport and you got to wear your Letterman jacket, because that's kind of like the indication that you guys are in a relationship. Valentine's Day, you got to do all these great and wonderful things. Why? Because it was a standard that was created for you to, as you said, do. But I think there is something behind that standard that most men believe that relationships stem from, or going that extra mile and doing things that they really don't want to do, or maybe not want to do. And like you said, I'm glad you said it. It's not just a man thing, it's a people thing. But because this is the hearts of men, we're going to talk about it from a man's perspective. And I think before we get started, I'd like to put a poll up. And I think this poll will really get us into the right mindset in order to execute said poll. And as you guys are going through this poll, I really want you guys to take your time and answer the questions. And remember, you got to put the number up there. Don't just put your answer. Okay. So this particular poll, let's put this up. I'm sorry. There we go. What drains your energy the most in life right now? Number one, work related stress. Number two, family or relationship challenges. Number three, social and cultural expectations. Or number four, internal pressure or self doubt. Put your comment in the put your response in the comment section. That way the poll can capture it and then calculate as you guys do so. That said, I want to kind of jump right into the first talking point. The very first talking point is emotional exhaustion, the silent weapon of control. The silent weapon of control. Now, emotional exhaustion isn't just a symptom of life's struggle, it's a weapon used by coercive environments to make you compliant and rob you of your purpose. That said, Anne Lamott said, almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. And I want people to understand that almost everything will work again if you just unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Statistically speaking, 76% of men report feeling overwhelmed or emotionally exhausted by societal or relational expectations. And to add insult to injury, men who experience prolonged exhaustion are 32% more likely to suffer from depression and anxiety. And that's on top of everything else that goes on. So, that being said, the first question I have, if there is a level of exhaustion experienced by men, how much of it is linked to trying to meet other people's expectation? Not just that, why does it exist and where do you think it originated from?
Man, why does it exist and where do you think it originates? This question starts off deep, but then this that addendum at the end drags it deeper down into the ocean to where the pressure tightens up. You know what I mean? So yes, right. So if there is a level of exhaustion experienced by men, how much of it is linked to trying to meet other people's expectation? I would say at a minimum 60% of it exists by trying to meet other people's expectation. Um, and for me, it starts right there with the why. The why kind of starts in we get exhausted because I don't think as men we're taught to be people pleasers, but as men we're taught to make sure we don't allow things to fall or fail. Right? That's the job. That's money. That's the family. That's the kids. That's the wife. That's the marriage. That's everything. The house. Everything. We have to make sure things don't fail. And sometimes the pressure comes on, and sometimes you moving, you got things going on, and sometimes we yes to things, and we commit and lock into things because we think it's going to secure the future better for the family or for whatever the case may be, right? People knock on my door about some home improvement, and I think it's going to make my home better for my family, and I'll say yes. And let's be honest, we don't always want to say. I don't even want to answer the door when people knock on it, so let's just start there. We don't want to say yes half the time when they come to the door, but sometimes we do. Why? Because we want to make sure the roof is still good. I don't want the roof to give in. I don't want no water to leak in on my kids while it's raining, or nothing like that. But what does that add? That adds added pressure on me now, because I have to figure out how I'm going to supplement the money that's going to be spent on fixing the roof. All right. Not every You should. I think that might be a thing we might need to do for men once we get our men up. Talk about money literacy, right? We should have money put to the side, so for projects and stuff like that, and for emergencies, right? But not everyone learned that early enough. Some of us just learned it a few years ago, and so in order to put in to get another $5,000 to $10,000 roof, some of us we gotta go back to work. We gotta pick up extra shift. We gotta, do a couple of door dashes, whatever we gotta do. But we ask where it come from. For me, it comes from that place of where we were taught that we have to do whatever it takes. We have to be the sacrifice, and I'm not saying women don't sacrifice. Not saying that, but when it comes to things like this, we were always taught that we have to be the sacrifice. We have to be the planning. We have to be, you know. So trying to meet societal expectations, I feel is big, but from that space of where I'm speaking at, I think that limits it, because there's so much more that can go on to this, right? When we're talking about uh when we're talking about the levels of exhaustion, why they exist is deeper. As you can see, the poll is deeper than just having to put in extra shifts and having as you can see, it's funny, I put one on mine, but sometimes one can become a stressor because of two. I'm working so hard at work and pulling myself from work because it's things I'm stressing about, making sure that the family is taken care of. But I digress.
So listen, before I get started my response, listen, share this conversation. Hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button already. Share it on your social media platforms, because again, this is something serious. Also, I also want to share something with you guys real quick. There's going to be a free gift that we're going to give you during this particular show. You might want to stick around and get it, because it's not just for men, even though, like I said, we're talking about it from the lens of a man. Consider it from your lens as well. Consider some of the things that you've done in your life over your time frame, even in your job, on your career, because it's not exempt from that as well. Um, I'm kind of like with Robin in the comment section. She says 70%. I'm around there. I was thinking 75, right? Uh, I'm shocked you said 60. Here's why. When you were younger, everything you did was to get the attention of a woman. Everything. You may not even know what woman, but everything you did was to get her attention. What you wore, what you did, literally how you walk. You're thinking who's watching you and all this other great stuff. Like I really do believe that for whatever reason, and of course, again, in your younger years, you may have been dealing with some other things behind the scene as well. I really do think over the years, when it comes down to it, I really do believe that for the most part, can I have a question, please? I really do believe for the most part that we get stuck in cycles of people pleasing. And we don't want to disappoint this person. We want this person to like me. We want all these things to actually happen. And I think when we really stop and think about it, it is either linked from what we've seen daddy do, uncle do, or the lack of them. And so mama probably taught us some things based upon how she wanted some of her boyfriends or her husband to treat her, whatever that looks like. So what that translates into us is how she wanted to be treated. That's what we wanted to do. And so sometimes we by de facto became mama's boyfriend, unbeknownst to us. Not something that we intentionally did or something that she intentionally did, but it was like everything we did. We didn't want to see mama cry. If mama cried, we start crying. Like we get upset. All these things. And why does it exist? Simply because you don't know no better. You don't know no better. Number one, you don't know who you are. You don't really know your core identity. And because you don't know your core identity, you don't know from which your power comes from. So when you have a false, misrepresented identity, now you're doing everything from the source of that. And what could that possibly be? I'm a black man raised in the southeastern portion of the United States, right? So now I'm doing everything from the source of that identity. That's not really who I am. That's just who I represent myself as because I did not know I was supposed to be representing something more powerful than I could have ever imagined. Now, where did it originate from? Oh no, we got to go way back. We can talk about all these different things that added to it, right? We can talk about slavery, we can talk about Jim Crow, we talk about all those things. But here's the reality of the truth. The Bible has always been there. And at some point, somebody had to sit down and open it and read it. And once they read it, those things that they ingested could have changed then. And then the next generation comes on. You have the opportunity to sit there and open it, digest it, read it. Didn't do it. Raise children, taught them that. Then the next generation come on. So it just keeps going over and over and over. And then ultimately you have a continuous perpetual cycle of of learned behavior that is not healthy for a family unit. And so you get certain things like a honey-do list, which in all actuality, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's up to you, whoever you are. But because that's the thing, it's the expected norm. And then you get to the point where you end up going to the opera, even though you don't like the opera, but she likes the opera. So I go to keep the peace. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like my whole point. And again, I'm not saying that whatever somebody do in their relationship is good, bad, or indifferent. That's their choice. But what I am saying is that if she wants to go to the opera, is it so bad that if I don't want to go to the opera because I don't like opera music, is it so bad for me to tell her, no, I'm not going to the opera? You go with your girlfriends and be okay, whatever repercussion comes along with that? Go ahead. Yeah.
Sometimes. Because I believe so. Here's the thing, right? We can have this fight about compromise, right? But I do agree with you. You didn't have to roll your eyes. But I do agree with you that the definition, the word that we are looking for when we use the word compromise is sacrifice, because somebody has to sacrifice over the other, right? At one point in time, right? Now, with that said, to me, that's where the word compromise comes in for me. I'm not going with you to the opera every time you get an itch for the opera because I don't like the opera. But I am going to go with you to the opera every now and then because I like you, because I said I love you, because I want to spend time with you, because I understand the value of qualities. Like here's the thing. Now don't get me wrong, because there's no absolutes. And I know my brother's going to beat me up and he's going to take on the other side, but there's no absolutes. But listen, if a man loves you and that man likes you, listen, we ain't even got to get to love. Let's just be real. If that man like you and he pursuing you, he's going to do what he needs to do to spend time with you, even if that means going to the doggone opera, right? Now, I think where we have to curve expectations is when this thing becomes serious or we become married. Just understand I went to the opera because I was courting you. I like you. Don't mean I'm not going to go to the opera anymore, but it means don't think that I'm going to the opera every time. That's how I'm looking at it.
Can I still like her and say no at the same time? Does that mean I don't like it if I say no?
No, it don't mean you don't like her. It can mean you don't like the opera, right? Which is true. But depending on the level of work that was already put into this relationship before this opera came up, in the courting stage, I think women look at no as he don't like me.
That's not a me problem. And here's the deal: if I cater to that now, it's going to be an expectation for me to cater to that from henceforth. So if I can fix it early on, I'm not trying to fix her. I'm trying for us to have an understanding. That's why I'm so, I know some people think, oh, he's so rigid. No, I'm not. I really am not. Because here's the deal. If I want to go see football and I know you don't like football, I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go to the game. You can go, but I know you don't like football. Right? I'm not telling you not to go. You are welcome to go. And I don't want to go. Okay, cool. I'm gonna call Gaddy up. I got an extra ticket now. You know what I'm saying? So I set the conditions right there. I'm not mandating that she go. The space is available, but I know she don't like it. So if she don't like it, I want her to understand at that point it's okay. So
See,
so now she don't feel any type of way. Go ahead.
this is where the expectations come in, right? That's why I love having this conversation because hey, we're catering expectation. We're not catering. We're setting expectations. Hey, if I go with you, I don't know how many people up here still dating, right? But if I go with you while we're dating, it don't mean that I like it. It mean men do things simply for the fact, and me and you we could talk about this between us, right? Because we done been through the fire.
Yeah.
But Tyrone is still trying to court Tamika. So he going to the opera. Tyrone going to that opera. I'm just gonna be real with you. But Tyrone, he gonna hit you up later talking about, bro, I can't believe I went to that opera. I tried so hard not to fall asleep. Right? But he knows that when he tells her no, and I'm not saying that it's a me problem. It's not a me problem.
Sure.
It's a me trying to understand how her mind works a little bit, right? I know how she's going to look at that. Now the problem is she needs to go ahead and log into the Hearts of Men on Friday so she can hear us talk about this. And she
too, so he don't do it. That's the problem. Listen, I'm just saying. Now, I got what you're saying, and I'm with you, and that's why I started off the way I did. When you don't know, that's what you do, right? Tyrone, if you don't want to go to opera, be honest up front and say, hey man, look, I like you, not the opera. If us spending time together mandates that I go to the opera, that to me is the definition of manipulation. You know what I'm saying? I need you to know that I like you. I just don't like the opera. We can spend time together, but if you want to go to the opera, call up, Fantasia or somebody like that. Go with them. You know what I'm saying? That's why when I set the conditions for the football game, I opened the door. And hopefully the way I said it, she didn't feel compelled to say yes. I want you to know that it's okay. You don't want to go, say no. I got Gaddy on speed dial. I call that brother up. I know he'd be ready. He might be cooking. He might be like, hey, put this between two slices of bread. I'm about to go to the game.
You know what I'm saying?
I already know. So that's my point. And I think that's the whole issue when we feel we have to do something just because I like you. I can still like you and say no at the same time. No don't mean I don't like you. No means I don't want to go. Agency. I have the authority to make that decision for myself. And if you feel that particular type of way because I did, that's not a me problem. And if you try to make it a me problem, boundary. I'm curious how many people in the comment section disagree with that, though.
Yeah, I'm reading the comments too. I was talking. I don't disagree with you. I agree with you. I'm just saying, as a man, if I like you, I'm not going every time. Tawami's not going every time. I'm gonna put that out there. But if I like you, I might go once because I'm gonna go. I want to experience the thing you like. I want to, get to know you better. Whatever. So that opportunity to spend time with you, I'm going to take it. But I'm also going to invite you, like you said, not coerce you, but I'm also going to invite you to some of my stuff. You know what I mean? The game coming on, or this show. Be honest with you. One of the things I miss about being in New York, I miss going to Broadway shows. I used to go all the time with my school because part of the music department. Every year we went after we did our major winter concert. I miss Broadway shows. Like those are things like I don't mind spending time together and doing things that we both like individually. But I think where the problem comes in, and just for the sake of this conversation, I think where the problem comes in is where we put these expectations that if you don't come, you don't like me.
Right. Yeah. I'm agreeing with you in that regard. And I like the fact that you mentioned that you like Broadway shows. And if you have never even looked at a Broadway show, whether you did so in person or looked at a recording or whatever the case may be, they're pretty awesome. But again, some people are not open to that, right? So then there's that. We apparently got some football players, some football watching females in the comments. Shout out to y'all. Good to see y'all and welcome. But yeah, just I think Nick D said what I was thinking, right? If I know, see if I can put this up real quick. If I know you don't like something, I'm not trying to guilt trip you into
Yeah.
going somewhere with me. I think that's the other side of the coin,
Right.
right? If you already know I don't like it, don't even present me with the question. Just tell me that you're going. And here's the other side to it. If I'm in my feelings now, like, yo, you ain't want to ask me if I want to go? That's different now. Now I'm telling you I'm open to going. And then, I'm knowing me, I'm like, nah, I'm good this time. But next time, let's I want to check it out. I think that's a more right way of doing a thing, in my opinion, as opposed to presenting the idea and then making them feel bad because they don't want to go. And so kind of, moving forward, let's see what the poll looked like real quick. 'Cause I don't know if anybody else brought it up. Yeah, I agree, Robin. We got to communicate those things in the beginning. Um, yeah, let's see what the poll looks like over there. We go. So we stay stuck at 60-40. So work related stress and family or relationship challenge. So I wonder whether a lot of work related stress falls in the category of the conversation that we're having right now. Imagine this same conversation in the standpoint of the from the standpoint of the workplace, right? Someone asking you to do something and you're doing it for the sake of, right? Not necessarily doing it because that's what you want to do. And maybe it's outside of your job description or whatever, but you're doing it for the sake of something else. And then if you don't do it, now you're being guilt tripped and things of that nature because, I asked you to do it and now there's some repercussions, some punishment, so forth and so on. So I kind of want to set the conditions for that. Um, I think I'm gonna skip the mind renewal. I'm gonna skip the technique for now. Let's jump to talking point number two because I give all those later. Talking point number two is all about coercive relationships, the subtle loss of autonomy. Now, coercive control in relationships often starts subtly, eroding interdependence and identity over time. Somebody unknown to me said, "You can't change someone who doesn't see an issue in their actions." I need to let that set in for a second. Like, really process that. And I got it. Somebody said, "Well, you ain't supposed to be changing nobody." Relationships are the ultimate training ground. If you're in a relationship and in your mind, you should not have to change, you should not be in a relationship. I'm just going to tell you the goddamn truth. Relationships will change you just by default of the identity of the relationship. Period and point blank.
That's all I
40.
was gonna ask is can you put a period at the end of that? That was it. That was it.
But sometimes to everybody, and I get it, I know you know. To everybody else out there, I you get in a mindset and you have people give you these ridiculous notions. Don't let nobody change you. No, the other person isn't changing you. Relationship is changing you. That's the key. Relationship itself is changing, not the other person. The other person is just responding to the environment. You think they're trying to change you, coercion, right? Simply because you have made up in your mind based upon probably prior information. Don't let nobody change you. So we have to recognize where this programming come from, and you bring that into the space of relationship, and then get mad when relationship don't work, or when Tyrone say, "You know what, Tamika, forget this, I'm out," because you are stubborn. The word I'm going to use. So anyway, 41% of men in relationships report experiencing emotional or psychological manipulation. Men who feel controlled in relationships are 2 times more likely to struggle with low self esteem and identity confusion. Now, let that set in for a second. Imagine who the husband is supposed to be to the family. Imagine who the husband is supposed to be to the children. And at the end of the day, that's the person that you really want to struggle with low self esteem and identity confusion, especially if a boy child is in the house. You got to let that set in for just 2 whole seconds, if not for none. So I want to ask you, since we asked in the beginning, whether we experience it, how would you describe the warning signs of coercive control in relationships? Like, what if I'm on the outside listening to you talk right now? I'm just some 17-year-old kid watching the Hearts of Men in my mama house and my dad and mom in the kitchen, and I'm listening to what you're saying, and what you're saying is intriguing. What should I be on the lookout for when it comes down to coercive signs of control?
Whew. So I'm gonna start this like I ended the last one. There's no absolutes, right? Every person that you deal with is different, right? Um, Even if they're both coercive or manipulative, if a word that people understand better when it comes to relationships, right? But some of the warning signs that I've noticed that I have ignored in the past were certain certain terminologies, right? Or certain things when you're courting, when you're dating, right? Is when you set the stage for what your life looks like, right? Because y'all trying to get to know each other. And when you constantly hear, oh, that can't be me, or that wouldn't be me, I could never. What she's telling you is, I'm not coming in here to be a part of what you got going on. I'm coming here just to be in a relationship, but not be a part of a relationship. Because this, I love the way you started off when you used the word just subtle loss of autonomy, and then you went on into talking about change. There should be a subtle loss of autonomy if we're scriptural, because it says that the two now become one, and they're no longer two flesh, but they are one flesh. So I become and this is what we always talk about. I become the person that I need to be a husband to you, and you become the person that you need to be to be a wife to me, or else we're trying to be two separate people who don't exist together, right? And so those warning signs, when you start hearing, this is why I broke that back down again, is because you have to start listening to the language, because it's not going to be straight up, I'm going to be coercive, or I'm going to make you move how I want you to move. It's going to be it's going to be statements along the way. Then there's going to be actions as you move. Listen, I would love to say that I missed all the warning signs. I didn't. I just kept going because I assumed we were in this to change together, right? And I'm not telling y'all which one I'm talking about because I don't want nobody to watch this back and get in their feelings saying I'm talking about them. If you said ouch, then it's you. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of times we see these things and we keep on trotting along anyway, and we don't address it. And so those were the signs for me. It was subtle stuff like uh constantly having to make it known how much you don't like everything I wear. Because all right, at least I know that that's one of those areas you expect to coerce. And and here's the thing: most females that I talk to, that's where they sit at, right? When it comes to how men dress. Oh yeah, because I'm gonna dress my man. AKA, I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna wear, but you're not gonna tell me what I'm gonna wear. I'm just saying what I'm saying. There's a lot more, but we ain't got but an hour and a half. So
That's pretty good. I appreciate that. Listen, if you are not a member of the Mindset Academy yet, but scan that QR code. Trust me when I tell you that you will not regret doing so. Um, Listen, I don't disagree with that. But the number one, I thought you was going to take my answer, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. My number one response to this question is, y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? The inability to receive feedback. Listen to me and listen to me well. If you are not coachable or trainable, that's an issue. That is an issue. If I can't come and talk to you about something that I observe without you having a resistant posture, because here's the deal: you're telling me something, and the longer I let it go, especially if I don't address it in the beginning, the longer I let it go, it becomes a norm. And then eventually I get to the point I get tired of the resistance and I capitulate and I just pick and choose my battles, as we tend to say. I don't necessarily bring it up because, I don't want the emotional backlash. If you can't receive feedback, listen to me, young man, if you're sitting out there on the couch watching us right now. If she can't receive feedback, run for the hills. Pack your bags and run. I am telling you from the bottom of my heart, that is a clear cut indicator. Now, I done told y'all my other one. It kind of goes hand in hand with not receiving feedback. If the description of themselves begin with strong, trying to tell you straight up, I'm stubborn. It's gonna take a whole lot to crack through this skull. Listen, I'm just telling the truth. I love y'all. I don't mean no harm when I say it. But just that word right there. Soon, if the description of themselves begin with strong, just doing about face and walk off. We can be friends. I ain't got time to be fighting. I don't want to wrestle with you all the time over the simplest little thing. You should not be describing yourself as strong. Newsflash. Everybody should have a level of resiliency. What makes yours special? So then there's that. Last one. Because like you said, we only got a certain amount of time, right? Last one. If advice that they're receiving is coming from somebody that's outside of their relationship, even if it's mom and daddy, I don't mean no harm. Mamas and mother-in-laws are supposed to be wise counsel for wives. Fathers and father-in-laws are supposed to be wise counsel for husbands, equally and collectively. If me as a husband, if I am observing my counselor going to his daughter and talking to her, trying to give her wise counsel on how to deal with me, he is out of order. It's that simple. So now I understand it's not just her, it is taught to her in that fashion. So watch the external influences. The external influences will tell you a lot with who you're dealing with.
So did you just say that this, I would say epidemic, but this pandemic of single motherhood is not just hurting that generation, but the generations coming behind it?
Indeed.
Because it's leaving nothing but mommy to be counsel for everybody.
I'll go a step further. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
This pandemic, as you said, of not only single motherhood being a thing, but single motherhood being a sought after thing. Because let's just be honest with you. It's sought after. It's glorified. It's
Right.
it's idolized.
I got killed for this, boy.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I got.
I mean, hey, I got time tonight.
Yeah.
It's idolized. It's talked about as though it is the second coming of Christ, when it
Right.
ain't got Christ in it whatsoever. I don't mean no harm. I get it. I know for a fact that the relationship dynamics matter between husband and wife, whether you work it out or not. But there's another side to it. If you cannot work it out, there's something that you must work out, and that is how both of you are going to be there for that child. Not just one, right? Not just, with your grandiose dreams of this individual making it big and getting on TV and turning around looking at the camera telling, "Hi, mom." It is. I'm telling you, it is a glorified thing in well, what I've seen. I say it that way. It is glorified. It is
No,
idolized.
you're right. Fantasia, and I don't like to quote everybody, but Fantasia, she tried to warn us over a decade ago when she put a lyric in there, said it's a badge of honor to be a baby mama.
Mm. She said that for
And
real?
she said that.
Oh,
She said that, and I was like, and it's so real. Like, I can't. You don't understand. It can't be overstated enough when we talk about the attack on fatherhood being an attack on the father's fatherhood. Right? It's the image, like we're literally destroying the order of the father. And why is it his order? Because it is the image of his order never changes. It's the same from him to us that it is for husband to wife, as it is from father to children. It's the same. And we're attacking it. And that's the crazy part. It's not even that we just don't like it. We're in an all-out assault to the ways of the father. And it starts with the home, and it starts with this conversation right here. Like, I'm gonna get on my horse if I continue. I know you said you got time tonight, but
I got time tonight, bro. I mean, because I think this conversation is that important. And trust and believe, as you're listening to us, we're not saying anyone is at. We're not saying that this group is at fault and this group carries no fault. That's not what we're saying. Both people, yes, both people need to have a proper understanding of what they're doing when they bring a child into this world. It's that simple.
And whoever is the custodial parent, like for me, it's ideal. I can't remember which state it was, but one state, and I think we had talked about it when it happened, and I remembered it when it happened. But the one state had started moving around how they do their divorce court. They start off their blanket is 50%. Extenuated circumstances changes the custody scenario, and they said once that was enacted, immediately the filing for divorce in that state went down by some 30-40%.
So what
I'm
hearing
you pause for effect for that one. But.
So what I'm hearing you say, if there is no outside incentive, then there is no progression in the direction of the ones who was given the outside incentive. Therefore, you are more likely to work on this relationship that you got that you began, that you had this child with. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yep.
It's that significant. It's that serious. And you don't know the long-term damage. Now I know we kind of went down this trail, but I think this trail is an important trail to go down. It is that serious. It is that significant. Next question, please. How does coercive control impacts a man's ability to lead their family and community? And as a result, do you believe we compromise our values to keep peace?
Ooh, this can be one word questions, because it's so. How does coercive control impact a man's ability to lead their family and community? Completely. It completely impacts. And as a result, do you believe we compromise our values to keep peace? Yes. Now, should we? Absolutely not. But do we? Absolutely. Because we're chasing the wrong piece. We talked about a few weeks ago that that you have the peace that we can create, right? A space of silence, of quietness. That's what we define peace as, right? But peace of the Most High is, I find my quiet in the midst of storm. I don't have to get away from the storm to find quietness, to find a stillness, because that's built within, right? See, so those are the two different pieces. But the problem is we're chasing the peace that we create, but when we try to create our own peace, it's only temporal. It has its limits. It's literally limited to somebody else showing up and making noise. So now where's the problem is? The problem is I created quietness. And like you said, hearts of men. So bear with me. Yeah, I did what I had to do to hush her up. But guess what? After I do that to hush her up, I got to come back around to something else. Now there's no peace in here. Because I go to my quiet place just so I can complain without her hearing me complain about all the stupid stuff that I got to do. or we can address it when it happens. And I think we start to create a different piece now, because now we start to operate a little closer to the umbrella of what the Most High wants us to be under. Because and I love this question, because here's how we destroy what the Most High is trying to do. We coerce men out of leading families and communities. We literally created what we used to call them, those shock words, the word, what we call them, buzzwords. What do we call them?
Buzzwords?
Did we say buzzword? I thought it was something else we used.
That's buzzword.
But them buzzwords, we created a bunch of buzzwords to shame men from leading. We say leading is coercive. We say leading is controlling. We say leading is toxic. And we put all these words on it because we're playing on the emotions of the but this is why it's a problem. That I'm trying so hard to stay in, but we already pulled that Band-Aid back. But this is the problem when we have a community of single motherhood. All right. Because I get so tired when I hear this patriarchal destroy the patriarch system in the Black community. It's not, where is it? And how you been complaining about the lack of men for the last 50 years, but saying we got to destroy the patriarch in the Black community? Fix it, please. Somebody help me. Right. So, but what happens when we're living in a predominant matriarchal system? What happens is, all I got to do to make a change is play on the emotions, because we expect women to go after their emotions a little more. And that's where those buzzwords come in. We expect.
I just want to know where the patriarchy is. I'm 52 years young and I ain't never seen it.
Me either.
That's just, my initial thoughts. I like where you are with it though, because our comments are so jointed, it's not even funny. I was created he. She was created she. Have you ever seen, I don't know if it was a TV show or a movie where there's a couple of women talking and he came to speak to her real quick and she said something. He walked off afterwards. And then one of her girlfriends in the group said, "Girl, you got him trained." I think it's interesting. And I share with you a conversation I heard John Gottman from the Gottman Institute had not too long ago. I think it's interesting that the same person who rejects feedback is the same person that gives instructions. In fact, not only the same person who rejects feedback is the same person that gives instructions, you're giving instructions to the wrong person, because I'm not your disciple. But that's a whole nother conversation. I don't want to go that deep down the rabbit hole, but that's a whole nother conversation. In essence, I'm the husband. You're giving me instruction as the husband, and you're destroying the mantle of husbandry in the home. So now I just become an overage child in the home, simply because you're instructing in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
So now family is disjointed because mama giving everybody instructions. In fact, it's probably not foreign when you see daddy sitting down with kids playing video games, because eventually mama gonna come around and start giving everybody instructions, telling everybody what to do. I got it. Somebody said it's a little far-fetched. No, just stop and think. You might be guilty of it. But listen.
Can I clean that up from earlier?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I saw it, it was 2023, and that was Kentucky, but I mean that was Missouri, but Kentucky had already done it before in 2018, and it was Kentucky whose divorce rate immediately dropped. I haven't really looked at what the divorce rate drop in Missouri, but in Kentucky it dropped. It's as of today, it's a 25% drop.
Yeah.
In divorce rate due to the 50-50 custody.
Yeah.
I just wanted
Yeah.
to clean it up,
No,
so
no,
everyone had the right information.
yeah, no, thank you for sharing that too. Um, so when you diminish who I am in the home as the husband, right? Who was granted authority by the only person who can grant authority, and you're trying to take it from the one. Now he's at fault too because he let it happen. I'm just gonna say that. Stop it. He's at fault too, right? But now that has moved, and then we go outside of the family to the community, and then of course you talk to the people in the community, and of course going back to thank you his divine appointment to the whole boomerang scenario. Girl, you got him trained. Well, he ain't in the community now because he is quote unquote trained. And so what becomes the values? Well, the values at that point is to make her happy. Y'all heard it before. Happy wife, happy life. Everything that encompasses that. Oh, I just do whatever I need to do. No is a complete sentence. And I don't have to pacify you behind the no. I'm just going to say no. Now, if you need further explanation, we can talk about it. Sure, I'm okay with that. But the answer is still no at the end of the discussion. And so I think when people hear that, they heard me say that, oh, well, she must be his child. No, he's his wife. She is his wife. A husband is allowed to tell his wife no. A husband is because that's how authority runs in the home. Now, again, I got it. If that's not you, if that's not you, if you don't believe in that, I'm okay with that. But we have to understand the secondary and tertiary effects of these decisions that we have embodied. Well, it's not decision, these values, I say it that way. These values, these beliefs that that we've embodied, because those beliefs generate the thoughts and those thoughts generate the words. And once you put the word into the environment, it's going to work one way or the other, especially if you put the word out and the authority figure is not exercising the authority that was gifted to him in that moment. So I think even though this question can be a heavy one, but it coincides in everything that we're hearing so far. Because again, if I fear your emotional response because I said no, or because I gave you feedback because of something I witnessed, or because of this, or because of that, and then eventually it just continues to wear me down to the point that I don't have any response. Ultimately, as the world like to say, I don't have a voice. That might be problematic.
I, this conversation to me sums up simply in Ephesians 5. I mean, it sums up in Genesis 2 and 3 as well. But when I go to Ephesians 5, I look at the way that the writer started each set of instructions.
Hey,
5:22,
can you
he
hear me?
says, wives. Yeah, I can hear you. You get now, you know. Um, he starts off, he says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband as unto the Lord. Now watch this. He gives you a description of why. He says, for the husband, here goes your description of what your husband should look like, right? Is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church. So if you say that this type of leadership is bad leadership from a man, then you're saying it's bad leadership from Christ, because he is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. How is Christ the head of the church? He says, for is the head of the church. For he is the head of the church and he is the savior of the body. How many women you know define their husband as such? Right? Because we wouldn't dare utter the word savior. Maybe we don't understand. And this is why I keep telling people, stop. We live in such, this is what I say, what I think and what I say, and I'm gonna stand right there. Maybe we misunderstand what the word savior is in its totality. Because he didn't just, he's not the savior just because he died. He's the savior because he corrected. And then he died so that you have a path to get back right. But he gave instructions on how to. This is what the Savior did. You were heading down a pathway of hell, but he gave you instructions so you can get on the right path. That's how he saved you. Because if you could say he died, but if you still living like hell, then you're not living in that blood that was shed.
Mm-mm.
So I can't make this up. So you mean a part of being my savior means that you are an instructor? Well, how many of us how many times you hear somebody describe their husband like that in today's world? Because it's an all-out attack on this language. You bet not use this language when you talk about a man. But the scripture did. So you don't argue with me. Well, they used to say argue with your mama, but this ain't your mama. This is argue with the scriptures.
Yeah, man. I love it. Bring up those comments, please, real quick. And while you're bringing them up, shout out to Crystal Everett. Greatly appreciate your support and all that you do in this community. Okay, she says, when a husband is genuinely submitted to Christ and leads accordingly, following that leadership keeps the household aligned and protected. Pretty much. And we got to realize that sometimes that means I got to disagree with you. You're not going to always get your way. In fact, a lot of times based upon, and as Gaddy say, a lot of times based upon, what you've learned at home, we might end up having some training sessions in our home, because at the end of the day, that's not according to what the scriptures say, what the Bible says. That's why I mentioned the word discipleship earlier. Now, who's discipling who in this society? I get it. I understand. Okay. Next comment, please. I think that's it. When the order is broken, it doesn't just affect one person. It removes the covering and brings disruption to the entire household, because everyone is connected within that structure. Absolutely.
Next. So you mean when what's his name? Bishop, not Bishop, Pastor, the man name's gonna come back to me later. But when he did Aretha Franklin's funeral and everybody went up in an uproar, Jasper Williams, there you go. When Jasper Williams, one of the I'm not a big fan of hooping, but that's one of the greatest hoopers to do it. But he did Aretha's funeral, and he talked about, how she became the queen of soul, right? But it was through, it was the love and the push of her father, right? But when he made the statement, and she just embodied this whole statement. He said, he was speaking on the same thing we're speaking on. Here we are, 8 years later, and we still having the same conversation. But he said, when you remove the father from the child is spiritually stillborn.
Yep.
Sent the world into an uproar when he said that. But when you remove the father, she just showed you.
Yeah.
When you remove the connect, it's like you unplug your refrigerator and wonder why your food is spoiled. Because the plug, I don't care what you think about the plug. The refrigerator is 200 pounds, but the plug, find something. The plug could be all of this big. It was an old specialist rank I took from one of my old soldiers when they got promoted. All right, but plug could be this big, but without that plug plugged in, there's no power going to the fridge. I don't care what you think about that, about fatherhood, about husbands, about men. I don't care how big or small you think fatherhood is, but when you unplug it, you unplug the connection that's supposed to connect your house to the father.
And men, when you unplug, let's not leave that out there as well.
You got a bigger way.
It don't just happen one way.
You're right.
Right? Men, when you unplug, you're damaging that child for a long time. That child will go on a long journey of trying to discover the meaning of life, simply because even if you had no idea what you were doing, you didn't stick around long enough to be trained in it.
None of us did.
Look, man, I don't know what I don't know one person that ever told me, said, man, when I had my child, I knew exactly what I was doing day one. No. Relationship is the ultimate training ground. I keep saying that. You are learning. Listen, you're training that child, and that child, listen, you're training that child, and the Most High is training you at the same time. And sometimes the Most High is training you through that child.
Mm. Mm. Right.
Those are things that we got to digest. We got to process. So you can't get frustrated and leave and say, you know what, Mom, you got it. I'm leaving. No, can't do that. Especially if she didn't push you off. That's a whole nother ball of wax right there. But if she didn't push you off, she wanted you to stay and you left, bro, that's on you. Now you're going to have to atone for that. And I really do believe, man, man, listen.
And that atone part, let's talk about it. If you're the one responsible for being plugged in and you unplug yourself.
Yes, sir.
Imagine, think about this. Imagine, and I do a washing with dryers, right? Because dryers, we disconnect and reconnect plugs based upon, the house that you're in, right?
Yeah.
But imagine you buy a dryer and you plug it up and the plug just don't work. What are you going to do with that plug? You're going to replace it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to discard it. You're not going to give it to nobody else. You're going to discard it. So what do you think happens when the father realizes that that plug don't have no power? I just told you that, but forgot.
Indeed. All right, listen up. The free gift is now available. If you have not scanned this QR code yet, scan this QR code and get your free gift, your free download. I think you will enjoy it. That said, the mindset shift technique for talking point number 2 is the boundary blueprint. What I want you guys to do, and this is just for you to kind of practice, creating and enforcing boundaries. Write down 3 boundaries that honor your identity and values. That means you need to know your identity and your values in order for those boundaries to support it. And then practice communicating them with grace and confidence. Okay. That takes us to talking point number 3. Talking point number 3 is all about the people pleasing cycle. People pleasing may feel like keeping the peace, but it's actually a survival mechanism that keeps you trapped in submission. Submission itself isn't the issue. The source it originates from is. Listen, man, let me tell you something. For those people out there who are still fighting the notion of submission, I ain't talking to you. Go on, do something else. I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to people who understand what submission is and still struggling with people pleasing. People pleasing itself is an issue because it is rooted from fear. It stems from some type of fear, right? And it keeps you trapped in some submissive behavior. And the thing that you're submissive to is the fear that you carry for the unwanted thing. It is not submission, it is fear. Submission isn't the issue. The source of which it originates is. In other words, the submission that is found in people pleasing stems from the source of fear. And going back to the scripture and understanding what the scripture said, the Bible tells you that God has not given you the spirit of fear. So if you understand that, then you can't claim that what you're doing is service if it stems from people pleasing. It is not. It is satisfying you. It is not them. It's not. Okay, I'm not going to continue to beat that. Look here. Lao Tzu. Care about what other people think and you will always be their prisoner. Now, I will say that there's a caveat to this one. I'll say that one more time. There's a caveat to this one. Because as a husband, I should care about what my spouse thinks. That does not make me a prisoner. That makes her my partner. I want everybody to understand that.
Is he back?
I don't know why she just took me off screen for whatever reason, man. I don't know what happened just now. It does not make it does not make her a prisoner. It doesn't make me a prisoner. It makes her my partner. I should care about what she thinks simply because she is an advisor to me. That's the important thing. Outside of that, when I hold myself subject to what someone else thinks, simply because it's lined up with people pleasing. That's the problem. Now, 80% of men admit to saying yes when they want to say no, driven by fear of rejection or an emotional eruption. Chronic people pleasers are 3 times more likely to experience burnout. So, that said, I want us to kind of share our next poll. And our next poll is all about what stops you from saying no when you need to. Is it one, fear of disappointing others? Is it two, fear of conflict or confrontation? Is it three, feeling obligated to help? Or is it four, fear of losing relationships? Right? So, by all means, please share your thoughts of the of please share your thoughts on the poll. Again, one, two, or three is your answer. All right. One, two, or three is the answer. Brother Gaddy, my question to you. If the husband is supposed to be the priest of the home, in what ways does people pleasing limit their ability to pursue their God given destiny? And how does that affect the family?
Woo, man, these questions is packed today. Um, so I'm gonna reword it. So since the husband is supposed to be the priest of the home, uh, in what ways does people pleasing limit their ability to pursue their God given destiny? Well, here's the thing. You can't be the priest and please people. I wrote a sermon. Quite a man. I can't remember how long ago now, but it's been a while ago. And I had some brothers who were preachers that I used to share notes with. I wouldn't share my whole sermon, but just like certain things I would share, um, and I would discuss because I loved. You already know we love having these conversations, and it feeds you, especially when you preparing to to work, right? And so the the title of the converse of the sermon was the offensiveness of Christ. And they did not like it because it didn't sound comfortable. I said that was the purpose of this of it. It's not supposed to be comfortable. It's the reality. A lot of times we're fighting against things that Christ has made plain, right? That the Bible made plain. But the problem is we're too busy trying to help people feel good so they'll come back and give more. But Christ didn't give. I wish we could put Christ. I can't stand listening to Bible readings, right? Because everything that's in red with Christ, it sounds like this. And then he said, did y'all forget this Negro tied up a whip and chased people? Put that in the. He tied it together. He took time, premeditated assault. Like this man tied it together, ran throughout. Get out of here. Like, and we keep reading. And he said, my father's house is a house of prayer and not a den of thieves. I'm pretty sure he didn't say it like that. I don't care what language he was speaking. It didn't sound like that. Right? What's the point? The point of the matter is to be the priest of the home means to say unapologetically what the Father says, regardless of how the people feel, because guess what? Feeling good has never changed nobody. I feel good. I don't need to take action. But when I feel uncomfortable, I have to start to pursue what's wrong so that I can figure out how to get back to a place of comfort. But the problem is you can't move the needle because then that place of comfort puts them right back where they were. You got to keep the needle right where it's at, because if you want comfort, the only way you're going to find comfort in this world is when your mind has been changed by the Father, and your actions and your walk has been altered by the Son. The Father pricks you, He draws you, the Son changes you, and now we begin to walk like the Father. Now now I can be a priest because I'm not worried about your comfort. If I understood how my family, because the last part was how does it affect the family, right? If I understood that my children, my wife's salvation is dependent upon me telling the truth, no matter what, I will understand how important it is for me to do so. All because they feel good doing it don't mean that God is going to accept it. And we need to stop teaching that demonic doctrine. He don't care about anything else other than what he said. This is like you could say whatever else, but he don't care about nothing else but what he said. You doing all this extra stuff, it ain't moving him. You adding in your own flavor and your own salt, it ain't moving. But I can tell you what did move him: your obedience. Husbands, your obedience to the word, your obedience to Christ, your obedience to the Father, your obedience to what he said you ought to be. And wives, guess what? Your obedience to him is tied up in your obedience to your husband. That's how it affects the family. If I don't lead like a priest, I set my entire family down the trail on the way to hell.
Look here, man. I'm loving that response. Listen. I can't stress this enough. The priest, this, as y'all listen to this, don't think about church. Not when I say that, don't think about modern day church, right? And I'm saying it again, don't think about modern day church as y'all listen to this. The priest does not have an obligation to please the congregation. The priest has an obligation to serve the Most High. If the congregation is doing their part, they're pleased in his service to him. Okay, somebody missed all of that. I'm going to say it again, and I want you to catch it, because this right here really helps you to understand how far off tilt we are as it pertains to relationships. All the way off. The priest does not have an obligation to please the people. The priests have an obligation to serve the Most High. And if the people are doing their job the right way as a member of the congregation, the priest serving the Most High is pleasing to them. I don't know what better way to say it. If you don't get that part, stop pursuing a relationship and stop trying to get married and focus on that part. Because here's the deal. Have you ever heard anybody stand up in front of a congregation and say that they're mad at Christ? No. Because of everything Gaddy just said. Now, some people may have went through some things and say they're mad at God, but I ain't never heard nobody say they're mad at Christ. Interesting. But we be the bride of Christ, ain't we? Oh. So the bride ain't mad at us. Come on, man.
Talk about it.
Come on, man. I just wanted to set in. If we be the bride of Christ and we ain't mad at him, we appreciate what he did, because if he did not do what he did, there would almost literally be no hope for us. We would have to live what's some people name? A Pope-like life. Not saying that, listen, not saying that they're doing it, but I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? That would be the only answer. You would have to live a Pope-like life and pray that your lineage puts you right in line. Man, go do a DNA test and see how many different nationalities you got in your bloodstream. I can't stress this enough. If it was not Christ's responsibility to please his disciples, then why do we walk around thinking it's the husband's responsibility to please the wife? That is like Gaddy said, that's demonic doctrine. Christ never said, I'm here to please you. What is that? What is that? You about to get your phone number? Huh?
No, that's how many different nationalities are in my ancestry.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. If we can't find no place in the scripture where Christ told the disciples that I'm here to please you, then how do we how do we get this whole understanding of marriage so far off tilt? Remember, we're still talking about coercive cycles of exhaustion, exhausting you men into submission and women as well, because we got to realize some things. For a man who don't understand that he is the priest of the home, he might be fighting you to be the wife. I'm just okay,
sir.
I'm just what? I'm just saying, bro. Y'all know her. I told you I got time tonight.
You say, hey, listen, listen. Tom is getting ready to run. I ain't gonna lie. We got ready to start this show. I had the kids. We came from Sam's. I had them putting the stuff up. I'm like, man, I am tired tonight. But this conversation, I'm sitting here like, man, this is already almost 8:30 or 9:30 for my Eastern Standard Time. But but you're not lying. And people like we make so light of this, and I think that's why for someone who is still, I place of transparency. The moment you feel like you really have a grasp on what the word is saying, he's going to pull you back into the wilderness and take you deeper. Right? At least that's what I'm learning with myself. Right? And so we'll never get to a place where we just know that we got it all. We're forever pursuing, right? The word of the Most High, the insights of the Most High, because He gives it to us, right? But here's the thing: it gets so serious and it gets so real because we are literally disconnecting God from every aspect of our being. We don't really. Isaiah said, "Woe unto those who call good evil and evil good." And we are actually living in times to where the things that are of the Father, we're saying in this world that is not good. The things that He taught us, that He has laid out for His people to look like, we say that that's not good. We're calling His good evil. And then we take all of the hot mess that we see in the world, and we trying to say that that's good. And we can go down and we can trot down this road because it doesn't end with relationships, but it starts here. Because if the Most High and Christ is not in the home, there's not a chance that He's in the community. I don't care how many churches you put in that community. But if we're not living for God inside this house, everything we're doing inside those buildings and everything else is just lip service.
Yep.
It's emptiness, it's void, it's of no use. You can't do nothing with it. Because we're not pursuing kingdom-mindedness. We're pursuing and that's how we go after God. But that's why I talk about it so much this way. And I know we run on time. I'm gonna shut up. But this is how we do God. This is how we do the Father, and we do the Son the exact same way. We come after Him with the same way we go after relationships. This is why when I hear men complain about women, I'm like, is that not what we're doing to the Father? People ask me a lot of times, why did I stay? Why did you stay? Why aren't you the one that walked out? Even though, if this was happening, Well, good conversation. He showed me through that's how I was treating him. I came to Him looking for a traditional God, a blessing God, but telling Him that I didn't have to do none of the things He said in order. And is that not what we complain about? Oh, women want a traditional husband, but they don't want to be traditional wives. Yeah, that's true in large, but is that not what we're doing to the Father? And then we complain about it because it's spilling over into our lives, because that is the order that He set in place. And guess what? That's how it's following.
Indeed.
We're reaping our own harvest.
Indeed.
But we just don't like what we planted. That's the problem. You don't like what you planted in your own vineyard, and now you mad because harvest season came around and it ain't what you thought was in there. You thought due season was gonna come and you was gonna get a check. Due season came around, and all that hate you put out into to the world, you like, I must be doing something right because I got a bunch of haters. No, no, no. Sometimes the cycle is just circling back around. Because
Absolutely.
whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. My bad,
Hey
my
man,
bad.
you was preaching the sermon, man. I got you. I got you. I got you. Hey, looking at time, we got to move. Talking point number 4, we're going to touch on it, and I'm gonna keep moving. Talking point number 4 is workplace and culture coercion. Um, in workplaces in society, unspoken rules pressure men to conform, often at the expense of authenticity and purpose. Alexander Hamilton said, "If you do not stand for something, you will fall for anything." Societal norms discourage men from seeking help, contributing to burnout and disconnection. We are going to skip over the questions for this section because I really want to get to talking point number 5. And talking point for number 5 is all about claiming and reclaiming the proper agency, the power of transformation. That said, uh, let me do this real quick before we get started. I got one last poll for you guys. Um, what do you believe is the biggest barrier to lasting change in your life? This is for everybody. What do you believe is the biggest barrier to lasting change in your life? Number 1, is it lack of clear directional purpose? Number 2, is it difficulty breaking old habits? Number 3, fear of failure or judgment? Number 4, feeling stuck in a cycle of exhaustion. Again, just put the number, not the entirety um, of the answer. Okay. First and foremost, breaking free from the coercive cycle requires intentional renewal, boundary setting, and spiritual transformation. Because of your prior programming, everything inside of you will feel like it's being pulled apart thread by thread. Peter Drucker once said, "The best way to predict your future is to create it." That said, men who actively engage in personal development are 60% more likely to report increased confidence and purpose. To that point, faith based coaching accelerates transformation 2 times faster compared to self help methods. So, Gad, I want to drop a question in your lap real quick, man. And I'm going to ask you to give us a couple of steps. Whether it be 1 or 2, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to give me a detailed explanation. What steps can you take? Can anybody who is listening take today to reclaim our God-given agency? And how does God's word equip you to resist coercion and reclaim your identity?
Maybe if I click the unmute button. Oh, I love that. Oh man, equip you. I love that. What just happened? My voice was silenced because I had it muted. It was muted because I didn't go to the source and click it to regain my ability to use my voice. A lot of us are yelling, but we're not using our voice. A lot of us are saying things, but we're not using our voice. And the good thing about this question, it moves in the same way the scriptures moves, right? It gives you a question to be answered, and then it answers it. What steps can you take today to reclaim your God-given agency, our God-given agency? Get back in the word. To me, that's the first step. The reason why you have a problem with finding the words to say when it comes time to pray is because you don't have enough word in you in the first place. Let's just make it plain. We get lost for word. Here's the thing, and sometimes you can read the word. The word is a start is your starting point, right? But sometimes we can read the word and still not know what to utter, right? But that's because some of us don't allow the word to take action, like we talked about last week, in our lives, right? So the word is still just the power source, But we have to take it in, and we have to allow it to become applicable in our lives. We need to have some type of power flowing into our bodies. That's just it's just the way it works, right? And so his word, how does it equip us to resist coercion? It one, and I say this all the time, there is no spiritual discernment without word put in you. Because what are you discerning against? Because if the only thing I know is what I learned in this world, then I'm actually probably turning God's people away and telling them that they're bad people. Right? That could honestly be true. But what I need to do is I need to read the word. I need to spend time in the spirit with him. I need to actually action out what his word is saying, because the power is in his word. We say so all the time that if we speak the word, it'll come back to us, because his word cannot go out and return unto him void. See, understand what it said, because you keep thinking it's coming back to you. It cannot go out and return unto him void. It's his word. It's only partially about what you speak, because he already spoke it, and that settles it. But what happens when you action out his word? I promise you it won't return into him void.
Oh, I like that. And I'll pick right up where you left off from, because I am 100% on board with get back into the word. Get into the word. I won't say get back into the word. Get into the word. Don't look at it as you showing up again. Look at it as you showing up for the first time, every time. Right? In doing so, humble yourself. Whatever you bring to the word, lay it at the altar. I'm trying to tell you, lay it at the altar. Because if you don't lay that stubborn mindset, that arrogant posture, that, whatever it is you have in you, if you don't lay that down when you go to the word, then the word cannot reveal to you who you are. 2 readings have to happen. You got to read the word, and the word has to read you. If the word ain't reading you, then you ain't reading the word. You're just looking for words in the word to support your own logic. So you'll go into the scriptures and you'll cherry pick the scriptures to post on social media or to share with somebody else because it strengthens your argument. So you'll hurl scriptures at other people simply because it is part of your defense mechanism, right? Humble yourself when you go to the word. Allow the word to reveal you to yourself, because the only thing that is separating you from the Most High is you. And you can't get to the Most High except through his son. So if you get out the way, right? And I give everybody another nugget real quick. If you get out the way, then you'll realize something. I'll tell you this right here as well. And this is my last one, and we're going to jump into our final thoughts. Understand who the word is written to. Because if you don't understand who the word is written to, you're missing it. See, I'm going to the word through the lens of my flesh, thinking that the word is written to my flesh. No, it's written to my spirit, because my spirit is the one that's driving the car, at least supposed to be. But see, you got the car driving the spirit. I say it again. You got the car driving. See, this is what makes Tesla so awesome. It's a phenomenon, because we got cars driving people around, and they're loving it because they're being chauffeured, and it makes them feel really important. Don't you realize that Tesla is just a manifestation of the life that you've always been living? You living your life by the seat of the car that is driving you. Your flesh is not who you are. Your flesh is simply the car. The word is actually written to your spirit man. And so the more you feed it, the more it should become the driver of the car. And therefore now, once you've put it in its proper place, now life just seems to look different. You really start believing what the word is saying. Now what you speak matters, because you're speaking it through the real you, not the you that you've been putting yourself on to be, not the facade that you. Oh yeah, by the way, coercion works against the flesh, not against the spirit. So I would say that and leave that right there. Listen, greatly appreciate you guys. Greatly appreciate everything that you guys are putting in the comment section. Don't think that we were ignoring you. It's just that, as you guys see, we had a lot on our plate. But that being said, that brings us to our bittersweet moment, which is our final thoughts.
Listen, let's really talk about what coercion does. Well, first off, coercion, I believe, starts in the mind of the person who's trying to get their way, right? That's the first problem. In relationships, your energy needs to be put towards what I need to do to make this relationship successful. We spend too much time focused looking outward at other people and what they're not doing and what they should be doing. Maybe if I get on what I'm supposed to be doing, it will create an environment conducive for the behavior that I want or that I'm looking for. But instead, we try to use agents like guilt, shame, fear, right? Oh, I'm gonna leave you. Oh, I'm gonna walk out. I'm gonna take your kids. I'm gonna do this. Men and women. I know men that talk the same way. So let's not limit it, right? Um, but what are we doing when we're doing that? We're saying that I am the most important person in the relationship, not the relationship itself. Here's the thing: if you, especially if the relationship you're seeking after is marriage, that thing is only ordained one place. Marriage is only ordained by the Most High, by by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I done read a lot of other religious texts and a lot of done my world religious studies and all the other stuff. But the true sanctity of marriage is only laid out and expressed to us in such an extensive way in the scriptures. Why is that important? Because now, if we're trying to coerce our spouses, our husbands, and our wives, then what's the problem now? The problem is I'm getting I'm getting in the way of a thing that the Father has set in order. He set marriage in order. Now, did he put you and that person together specifically? I don't know. But you made a vow to marriage. And your responsibility to marriage is to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. If I'm more concerned about what she's doing, that means I'm not looking at what I'm doing. Because maybe what I'm doing is causing this thing. So let me get back in alignment. And guess what? When I found myself there personally, I prayed to the Most High. And I prayed, and here's the thing: I prayed this prayer 3 times, and I'm gonna shut up. I prayed this prayer 3 times in my marriage, which was I prayed, Father, please dis- destroy the agent that's causing division in my own home. It has to go. The first 2 times I prayed that, she woke up and said she was leaving, and I didn't look at it as I just asked him to get rid of the thing causing division. I'm right. I went on to, ooh, baby, baby, please, baby, 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 please. I prayed it a third time. I, touched and agreed with my family. Yeah, I had to do it while we were sleeping, right? Because never mind. While we were sleeping, I prayed that prayer while everybody was sleeping. Then I went to bed. I just prayed over my family while they was asleep. Woke up that next morning. Everything was great the day before. Woke up that next morning. She said it again. I have to go. That time it clicked, and I said, I'm not going to stop you. And of course, that's when it became I abandoned my family. No, I'm not going to stop you because I have to allow God to move. And if that's what he's doing, then that's what he's doing. If it's not, he's not. But my job was to look at what I'm supposed to be doing and fixing, working on me, and allow the Most High to move everything else. And that's all I got.
Man, I believe we talked about a lot tonight. I pray that the things that we talked about help somebody. Um, I will start off with young men that are out there. Um, Coercion is a real thing. I think it's important that you have a clear cut concept of your true identity. And once you have a clear cut concept of your true identity, then everything that you do should come from the source of that, not anything else. If you change it to something else, now you have put yourself in a position to be manipulated, to be taken advantage of, to be coerced, which is subtle manipulation. And it sounds very world like. You just heard just now, how it actually happens. You heard the way it takes place, and it's systematically common. Like I tend to say, we have practiced the wrong thing so much that the wrong thing feels right. And until you become keenly aware of who you are and who you belong to, you're going to fall right in that cycle of being coerced to do something simply because it makes somebody else happy, not understanding what it means to be the priest of the home. And for you, the thing I would say, especially for those of you who are out there right now who are experiencing something like this, you will never reap the harvest you desire until you plant the seed that it requires. That's the key. When you got married, if you guys are married or you're pursuing marriage, the destination is you becoming one. So whatever one does, it is counted to as the other. And in fact, you should consider each other in the midst of you doing so. So if you are manipulating each other, what does that say about the lens in which you see your relationship? I got a different one for you. When you look at it, men who are allowing themselves to be coerced, are you trying to make her the God of your life? Because in essence, that's what it equates to. Woman who is coercing her husband, are you trying to be the God of his life? Because if he's the priest of the home, there should only be one God in that relationship, period. So I think it's important that we pay close attention to the things that we do, because trust and believe the thing that you do becomes an expression or a manifestation of what you really and truly believe. And if you have read the Bible any length of time, there's a strong connection between belief and faith. But then there's also a connection in deed. And what tells us clear, whoever the Son set free, he is free indeed. So that being said, if you have not done so yet, scan this QR code, get that free download, get more information on coercive cycles of control so that you can liberate yourself from that. So that said, listen, I greatly appreciate you guys. Greatly appreciate everything that you guys will put in the comment section. We seen them. Just couldn't get to them tonight because at the end of the day, man, I'm telling you, it was a lot that we talked about. And it was still some things that we didn't even touch. I didn't even touch the workplace aspect of it. But trust me, it does happen there. Listen, again, get your free download. And I want to give everybody one more opportunity before we call it a night. If you have not joined the mindset community, by all means, scan that code, because when I'm telling you things are changing right now as we speak, the mindset community is about to grow. You want to be on the front end of it.
Can I?
Yeah.
I saw something twice,
Okay.
but I just want to say we can't manipulate our lives to manipulate whether or not the Father is pleased. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Don't I'm assuming the brother. I don't know the brother, but you can't. Whether here's the thing: if you're married, if you're in a relationship, please God through it. If you're single, please God through it. If you stay single, you're not going to please God no more, no less by being single. But what are you going to do for the kingdom? Because if I'm single, that just means I got more time to pursue the kingdom. Now, in that pursuit, if I'm purposely staying single, then I may actually be working against what God may be putting in place for me. So I just want to put that out there. So I, I just want us to be mindful. You can't manipulate it. Just move, get in tune with the spirit. It's a process, right? And let them guide you. Let them guide you.
Yeah. Yeah, I greatly appreciate you saying that. Again, if you have not joined the Mindset Academy, scan that QR code, join it. I'm telling you, things are changing. We're growing fast, and there's a lot of infrastructure that has been built over the past couple of weeks. And you guys will start seeing some new things, kind of like that that emblem, that logo. And I fixed my screen, man. It's over there. Yeah, that like the emblem over there. That's the new logo for the Mindset Academy. So again, if you have not joined, by all means, scan that QR code. Listen, that being said, I greatly appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Greatly appreciate all of the value that all of you guys added to this conversation. Again, send this conversation to somebody who you believe it'll help. That being said, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Let the best version of yourself be a blessing to somebody else, and we will see you tomorrow morning for the Hearts of Women.